Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we've got a really fascinating challenge lined up for us. We're going to decode a piece of source material that's, well, it's dense, highly abstract, and just incredibly unique. We're looking at what scholars are calling the Liturgies of the Celestial Queen. Now, when you first take a look at this text, it definitely doesn't read like your standard document. It's not a traditional book. Actually, it presents itself as this fragmented, experimental, and multilingual transcript. It's literally a puzzle of words that blends entirely different linguistic worlds into one holistic experience. So let's see if we can decode its structure together and figure out exactly how it uses language to build such a deep sense of reverence.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Right out of the gate, when you're looking at the raw source text, this is exactly the kind of chaotic, disorienting surface you're hit with. Mashallah, Queen of Heaven, rejoice, the of joyful face? You've got Arabic words like mashallah just crashing right into archaic, fragmented English phrases. It doesn't follow standard grammatical rules. It feels almost breathless, right? Honestly, it almost reads like an ancient manuscript went through some kind of modern autocorrect glitch. But here's the thing. This disorientation, it is entirely intentional. The authors are using this chaotic blend to hook your curiosity. They want to pull you out of your normal, everyday reading habits and drop you straight into a space of pure experimental devotion.
And that right there brilliantly illustrates the structural dichotomy of our source material. Visually, we can actually split this fragmented text into two distinct linguistic components. On one side, you have these rhythmic Arabic invocations. They're repetitive, traditional, and highly musical. And then, contrasting that, you have stylized English poetic prose. That side is abstract, highly visual, and modern, but still holding on to this distinctly archaic flavor. It's really the friction and honestly the harmony between these two linguistic elements that gives the text its unique power.
Now, before we peel back the specific layers of this abstract devotion, we really need to ground ourselves with a concrete academic definition. What exactly are we looking at here? Well, by definition, a liturgical expression is a form, formulary, or collection of words according to which public or private religious worship is conducted. By applying this objective, neutral lens, we can examine the text not as some theological argument, but as a piece of art. It's an architectural construction of words designed specifically to evoke the feeling of worship.
Let's look a bit closer at the Arabic side of the text. Throughout the transcript, you see these words repeated over and over, Allah, mashallah. In the source text, these phrases come in rapid succession. They're rhythmic, they're cyclical. They create this momentum that just builds and builds and builds. When you read them, your pacing naturally speeds up, perfectly mirroring the musicality of traditional chants. It's a continuous loop, designed to create a real feeling of spiritual momentum, an unbroken chain of praising the divine. It's crucial to understand exactly how these chants function within the document. They are repetitive, devotional phrases of faith and reverence. Now, in this explainer, we aren't evaluating any underlying theological claims. Rather, we're exploring how these phrases function strictly as artistic and liturgical constructions. They act as the heartbeat of the text. They provide this steady, rhythmic foundation of faith that grounds the wilder, far more experimental English poetry that weaves in and out of them.
Now, what's really interesting about this next piece of English prose is how it forces us to change our rhythm. You kind of have to take a breath and deliberately slow down. Queen of Heaven, rejoice, the Marify of joyful face and joyful. It's incredibly dense, it's archaic, it feels like it was pulled straight from some ancient manuscript, and yet there it is, sitting right alongside those rapid Arabic chants. The grammar is fractured, the of joyful face and joyful, which practically forces the reader to stop looking for literal narrative meaning. Instead, you just have to absorb the profound, stylized imagery being presented to you.
And the imagery, it only gets more vivid from there. Look at this abstract passage. The sunlight and bought her rising blade in him. Here we see a shift toward a formal, almost majestic vocabulary. Words like sunlight and rising blade evoke a really profound sense of worship, perfectly mixed with powerful celestial imagery. I mean, it's a striking visual, isn't it? Light functioning as a weapon or a tool of divine power. This is absolutely not casual language. This is a highly elevated poetic register meant to inspire pure awe.
But the text doesn't just stick to the heavens. It constantly pivots. One moment it explores divine authority, literally referencing the hold of Roman power and absolute strength, and then the next, it dives right back into the tangible, natural world, celebrating things like water in motion and sunlight. The text is essentially telling us that the divine isn't just found in celestial authority, it's equally present in the physical, moving elements of nature. Listen to how these themes actually come together to express spiritual joy, ignore the excitement of the divinity, knows the fire and glow with God. This is just a beautifully metaphorical piece of prose. The word glow here is used to represent reverence, like an internal radiating spiritual joy. The whole text is woven with these moments of pure, ecstatic devotion, suggesting that true worship is not just something spoken but physically felt, like a fire or a glow.
So what does this all mean? The crucial point is this. When we take a step back from the fragmented, seemingly chaotic pieces of this text, we realize they aren't random at all. They actually synthesize into a highly structured reflection on three core metaphysical themes. First, the absolute nature of divine power. Second, a vibrant celebration of the natural world. And third, a deep sense of spiritual endurance. It's like a carefully constructed triangle of themes that holds the entire experimental piece together.
To really understand that third theme, spiritual endurance, we have to look at this final English line. Therefore, beside the burr and the tears of changes, left blessed marve, the praise, and continue. Notice the altered spelling there, like using marve for marvel. Even through the tears of changes, which beautifully symbolizes the pain, the shifting times, and the struggles of the physical world, the directive is crystal clear. The praise must continue. It is an incredibly powerful, artistic representation of enduring faith, completely despite the chaotic nature of life.
So why does all of this matter? What should you actually take away from this explainer today? Ultimately, this text matters because it's a dense, experimental collection blending two totally distinct worlds of worship. It proves that when you break down standard grammatical rules and you fuse rhythmic, traditional chants with highly stylized, abstract poetry, you create a completely unique, holistic liturgical experience. It's a real testament to the fact that language, when it's pushed to its absolute limits, can evoke emotions and feelings of reverence that standard prose simply cannot achieve.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder. We've seen how Arabic chants and English poetic prose come together to create something entirely new and incredibly powerful. So, it forces us to ask, how does blending languages change the way we express devotion? Does stepping outside of our native tongue, or maybe combining it with another, unlock totally new pathways to spiritual expression? It's a fascinating question, and for sure, one I hope keeps you thinking long after this explainer ends. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep exploring.